Those of us more in the habit of listening to news may have noticed a variety of new original podcasts. They're all ready for your ears, be it through Google Home, Apple, Spotify, or our CNA and MeListen apps. This new slate is part of a broader digital audio strategy that CNA is embarking on. And we have with us Crispina Robert, the podcast lead, to take us through all the details. Crispina, I looked at the website, and under news, we've got several options. So heavy duty, the climate conversations, money, mind, and heart of the matter.
Yes.
Now, if you are selling heart of the matter to a podcast virgin like myself, how would you recommend it?
Okay, I'd say Heart of the Matter is our signature podcast. We've been experimenting with it for the last 2 years, and over the last 2 years, my experience has been that people really appreciate looking beyond the headlines. So when a story breaks, you read something online or you go, and watch it, a bulletin on TV or on radio. But in a podcast, we have a panel of guests, and we can put all the questions, the burning questions that we have. So the conversation becomes a lot more nuanced, becomes a lot more interesting. And so we found that people have an interest in this sort of, discussion. Yeah. So recently, for example, we did the new season has begun for Heart of the Matter, and Stephen Chia is the host. And we did this topic on COE prices because, as you know, it's been rising, right? So it's a very simple question. What's going on? What's driving the prices? So Stephen asked his guests, if they were in charge, what would they tweak? And that's, that was an interesting take.
If you could suggest one fix to the current COE system, you got a magic wand, you can change one thing tomorrow, just like Thanos, a snap of your fingers and the world changes. What would you change?
I want to just cut this COE bidding thing. It's just one fixed price for this cat and one fixed price for that cat. That's what I feel it's the best for people.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for myself, number one is just keep it simple. And I think number two, really adding another category by itself for special needs might be interesting so that we can make sure that really vehicles itself is more accessible.
Simplicity is bliss. Amen to that.
Of course, as you mentioned, this is one way of looking beyond headlines. Of course, in the news bulletins, we do that as well. We try anyway. We have interviews, we've got packages, we've got visual aids, so that in a way, sort of explaining beyond the headlines. But for podcasts, when you design them, how do you see them sitting as part of the wider news environment?
Okay, so, some newsrooms around the world, big newsrooms like the New York Times, are already, on this, offering an audio option to news, right, in addition to their other platforms. So we adopt the same approach. Basically, we say that, okay, podcasts will sit within the news environment, and we go deeper into the issues like we talked about. I also want to add that we also offer, pods are by nature a niche product. So you can have pods on any number of things. You can listen to music podcasts, you can listen to yoga, exercise, etc. So we know and understand that people want information that is relevant to their lifestyles. So we have pods that's related to personal finance. We have pods that are related to climate change, for example. And we offer a work podcast, which is something that I do as well. Yeah, so it's just a combination of all the different types of content that appeals to different audiences.
All right, I'll pick you up on that. So you are podcast lead, so you oversee all the different podcasts that we offer.
Yeah.
And you also have the enviable or unenviable job of yourself being co-host for one of the podcasts, that's Work It.
Yes.
Since you mentioned it, tell us about it.
Okay, so I'm co-host. My host is Adrian Tan. He's a HR strategist. So he's been in the HR space for a while. So he has experience with some of the issues related to work. And, COVID has had a transformative effect on work, right? So Adrian used to write commentaries for CNA Digital. And I used to edit his pieces. So this is kind of a natural conversation that we wanted to take, and we understood that there was a huge audience interested in this kind of material. In fact, in a recent episode that we did that really, was obviously resonated with our audiences was on burnout. And Adrian shared a little bit about what happened to him. Have you suffered burnout in your career?
Oh, yes. I'm glad you asked. There was a period of time in my career where I dreaded sleeping because I know I'll wake up to face another days of problem. And there was an incident that triggered me because I literally cried in front of my office manager the office, which is why I'm so excited to speak with our guest today to also help me understand a bit more about the issue around burnout. What does burnout look like and who succumbs to it? Why is it a problem for organizations too?
Yeah, so you'd have to listen to more of that entire podcast to find out how Adrian dealt with it. And of course, our guest was the psychologist, and I learned quite a bit listening to her about how to deal with workplace burnout.
All right, so if you want to learn about that, you can find this podcast. And this is Crispina Robert, who heads CNA's digital audio team.
Thank you.
And this, of course, is just a peek of what the podcast team has to offer, as my colleague Dawn Tan explains.
Well, that's right, Wei. So we have interviews lined up all through the week. Tomorrow, we'll be discussing all things finance with Sarah Alcalde. She's the host of Money Talks. That's a weekly podcast that provides tips on managing money and how to stretch your dollar as the cost of living goes up. And even as you stay tuned, that's just one of the many podcasts CNA has to offer. You can find the full slate on cna.asia/listen to enjoy either at home or on the go.